My story. I actually wasn't even supposed to make it past a year old. At 9 months, I had an accident with my father. I was supposed to become paralyzed or a vegetable because my skull was dented in so far that it was touching the lining of my brain. I went back to my mom's crying and they didn't understand why, and we ended up seeing a dent in my head the size of a tennis ball. That when my mom took me to the doctor, the things that the doctors even said was even shocking to me learning about it later, because I have a scar now on the back of my head. It turns out that the doctor had said that the only way that that could have happened to get that size of a dent that deep into my head was if a strong adult took a hammer and hit me as hard as they could. And that was shocking, the fact that I was with my father when it happened. My parents were never married. They were separated, and I had to go back and forth between my father and my mother. And it was difficult because legally I was bound to go. He was in drugs, alcohol, gangs. You could tell that he had a lot of demons that he was dealing with, and even as a child I could tell, and that's very difficult. But he brought them out on me. He was very manipulative and controlling. He was very abusive, mentally, emotionally. It feels like you're living with the devil, with all your fears and everything being by your side constantly, and seeing it every week and being with that person that brought you so much hurt. It's so difficult. And it brought me into a very deep depression and severe anxiety that would give me panic attacks. I would shake. I would pick at myself, like just whatever I could do to pass by the feeling of just not being in control. And I didn't turn to God. I didn't think I really knew God at that time. But when I went through it all, and I actually tried to commit suicide when I was around 11 or 12, had picked up my mom's ex-boyfriend's gun, and my mom was at work and I was home alone. When I grabbed the gun, I was like, you know what, once I do this, then everything will be okay. Then everything will leave, and I won't, all these feelings and everything, nothing will confuse me anymore. That's just it. I put it up to my head and I thought to myself, I was like, what am I doing? Like, look who I'm gonna be leaving behind, my mom, my brother, the people that love me here that I didn't realize. I thought about it, and it's like, in a way, he would win. The devil would win if I did that. And me and my mom had gone to every church in Tri-Cities. We've gone to so many out of Tri-Cities and in Tri-Cities. And we just never felt like we fully belonged. And I never felt like I fully belonged with the people or anything. I didn't really have a longing for staying. We got invited to Hungry Gen at a family service by my brother. And we came to Hungry Gen, a whole new experience. And it was just like a fun experience to just see all these families and all these different ethnicities and everybody. And it just felt kind of like home. When I got invited to the youth service, met people that I would consider family and forever friends. These are the people that I needed a long time ago, but they're here right now for a reason, and I know that now. And going to camp, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't have time to think of what I was going into, because I just kind of was like, oh, the night before, can I make it? And they allowed me to go. But the second night is when it really moved me. He was talking about getting rid of the things that you know you need to get rid of and the stuff that's holding you back. So I was there on the floor at camp, and a youth leader came and prayed for me. God basically talked through her to me, and it was like a reassurance. And he said that I know you've been dealing with the absence of a father, and I know you've been dealing with feeling unworthy, and I know you've been feeling alone, and you're tired, and you're exhausted. All this stuff that you've gone through, it's going to serve a purpose. I never left you, and I've never left your mother. And when she said that, that's what got me, because all the stuff that me and my mom had gone through with the stuff with my father, it always felt like it was just us, and it always felt like we never had somebody to protect us, and we never had somebody to just be there and be like, it's gonna be okay, like I'm gonna protect you, he can't hurt you. And I just cried and I bawled so hard. And I kept on coughing and crying and I didn't know why. And I just cried and I felt all the emotions from when I was a little girl just come up in that moment. Because when you're little, you don't comprehend what is happening. You don't understand those things. You don't know how to deal with them. So feeling all those feelings that just came out of nowhere, it's like I knew that came from a deep, dark place that I couldn't have brought up myself. So accepting God that night and just giving it all to Him really changed my life. And afterwards, I was on the floor bawling, just kneeling down. And once I got back up, I took a big, deep breath. And it's like, it felt so clear and it felt so like weight lifted and I felt like I could breathe finally. And then after camp, all the feelings that I had dealt with before, all the struggles, they just kind of felt like a past thought. Something that I couldn't even imagine that I had dealt with and so severely. Anxiety was something that had such a stronghold on me, and I don't really, there's obviously still those struggles, days, but the depression, the suicidal thoughts are not even in my mind or even close to that. And when you feel so much love, you wonder how you even got to the point before. After having all that stuff behind me, it kind of is like a clean slate, and it makes it so exciting for life and just to serve God and to be able to encourage others. And even if you're still stuck in a situation, I still have to go to my dad's until I'm 18 every week. But the amount of freedom I feel when I'm there, I don't feel fear anymore. I don't feel scared of him. I don't feel scared of the demons or anything because God's by my side. And how could I be scared when God's with me? Because He fights all of those for me and for you. Just trust that God's gonna bring you along the way, and He will carry you throughout everything, throughout all of it. He's just always there for you, and you just need to trust Him and His plan. He'll take you all the way there.